I am so sick and tired of this sheep dip. I had to go get me some moose munch to calm myself. This is my what do they call it? Comfort food. I know it's hard to get prepper fit, but I had to have a little moose munch, man, because I was feeling bad. I was feeling down. I'm feeling down because of this stimulus program. I can tell you what, there is nothing stimulating about it. I am not excited in any way. Nope, no sir, not excited. Not even 1 inch worth. That being said, I don't know if you guys looked at the first stimulus program that went out where, what, $8 trillion, almost, not quite almost, but darn close to half, or at least let's put it this way, a solid 1/3 of our national debt in one stroke of a pen. And that being said, when you looked into it and where the money was going, 80% of it had nothing to do with the pandemic it was meant for. And even at that, they ran out of money with the stuff that was, the money that was left, the little bits that were left, to give to the people to help them because they weren't allowed to work and had to stay at home and all those kind of things, was a fraction of where it went to other things like endowments and centers and other things like that. And I'm going to tell you where this one's going. Now, it hasn't been given the green light yet. And honestly, in my opinion, I think it needs to be seriously looked at to be vetoed. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, in my opinion, if we're going to do a stimulus program, it should be something that actually is beneficial to everybody for what they're having to go through and what they need to be able to keep from losing their homes, being able to feed their families, and keep from losing their businesses. And so far, what's been done really doesn't do that. It's basically an advance because they have to pay it back. Now, I'm not saying that that's not necessarily something that should happen, but let's just call it what it is. This isn't free money. This isn't a bailout. And you know what? This isn't even their fault. So I just don't get it. And I don't get why people aren't just absolutely enraged by this. So let's just talk about the current one. The current one, first off, $600 is a joke. $600 might cover insurance, utilities, and a few other bills, but it certainly won't get your mortgage along with it, and it certainly won't put food on your table. And honestly, it's a one-time payment. So let's see, let's just tell you to be out of work for months, but we're only going to pay you for 1 week, right? And it doesn't help the people that are having to, and honestly, I think the community does need to come together and not boot people from their homes and stuff. The last thing we want as a community and as good human beings and people is to have people, because of this, homeless and starving as best we can. But it doesn't help the people that have to make their mortgages and payments on these properties that they're letting people stay in, because I know that most of those landlords probably in their heart really want to, but they themselves are going to be on the unemployment line or food lines and everything else because they count on these properties for their income. So this is just messed up. $600, you might as well have just spit in your face, bent me over, and slapped my ass and said, this is going to hurt. Because it is. It's upsetting. And here we go. First off, they are going to allow undocumented immigrants to collect this stimulus. And not only this stimulus, but they've got a section written in there so that they can go retroactive and get the last one. Now, you know what? I'm all for people coming to this country And I haven't got a prejudice bone in my body. I do not see color. And I welcome everybody, especially if they have wonderful things to add to this country. But I do not think that we should allow criminals in. I do not think we should allow drugs in. And I do not think that they should be able to get our programs and things like this that we pay for, us hardworking Americans pay for, and in a lot of cases, all Americans pay for. They shouldn't get those benefits. Why? Because they need to go through the process. It's not like we're saying you can't be here. We're saying just come in, knock at the door, say hello, say it's good to see you, let me pass the test, and I want to be an American. And then it's their turn to say the same to the next person that comes in. You got to go through those processes. It's how we make sure we have the best of the best here and that we don't have undesirables. And there's nothing wrong with that. That isn't prejudice. That isn't xenophobic. It isn't a white supremacist viewpoint. It isn't any of that. Okay? But you shouldn't, what taxes our system is doing things like this that we shouldn't be doing. So that's one. That's just a start. Try $193 million is going to go to help buy cars and licensing and all of that stuff for federal HIV and AIDS workers overseas in other countries. Really? How about focusing on our country? How about focusing in our country on people that have HIV and AIDS here? How about putting that money into, I don't know, getting them cars and things like that so they could be helpful? Just an idea. I'm not saying that that's a great one, but for instance, we have homeless here. Have you been to Portland, Seattle, any of those, San Francisco, any of those places where there's needle poops and tent cities everywhere? Oh my God, 193 million could go a long ways towards making that not so. We could take land that is useless here and there, even in the downtown urban areas, and build little homes on them that have a little address and have a staff maybe of 1 or 2 people, maybe 3, maybe 5, but whatever, providing jobs to get people clean, a place to live, and helping them find work so that they can become productive citizens and eventually get their own place. We could build a slew of those. But instead, we're going to give it to people for vehicles in other countries. It's time we start concentrating on our country. It'd be one thing if I could go out there and we had no homeless and there was no lines that are 27 miles long for food and everything was hunky-dory and happy here, then I could see helping others. That and that doesn't mean I'm cold or callous. It means we have to take care of ours first. And then, yes, we should, if we can, help others. I'm all for that. And let's not forget that these billionaires have enough money to buy countries, to buy islands, to fix these problems and not even touch a fraction of it. Just saying. Now, $40 million to the Kennedy Center. I think in the last one there was $80 million to the Kennedy Center. What the heck for? What is the Kennedy Center being given money for? I'm pretty sure it might even be a not-for-profit. Go make your own. But why are we giving them cash? $40 million. Money we pay for. No explanation. Just here it is. That doesn't make any sense. Has nothing to do with COVID unless everybody in that center caught COVID. Okay, so $208 million to upgrade computers in the Census Bureau. Really? Why? And why does it cost that much? Doesn't give any of those explanations. And again, did the census computers catch CV-19? Maybe they need a jab. $2 billion for the Space Force. You know what? I'm a proud American. I think that it's wonderful that we have a Space Force. Heck, I wish I could fly one of them, what do you call Battlestar Galactica? Yeah, with the little robot there, meaty. Okay, Buck. But really, is this the time to spend $208 million? $2 billion for the Space Force? Now, I'm sure that if we're going to have a Space Force, it's pretty expensive. And I'm sure that $2 billion might not go all that far. But why do we need a Space Force? See, it would go a long way to liken something like that if they would be honest with why. You don't give money like this unless you're honest with why first. Why do we need a Space Force? What are they doing? Why do they need $2 billion to build stuff? Right? I mean, heck, if we got aliens out there, tell them some bitches to land on the ground, come out, say hello, high five, and get it over with already. But until then, unless them little green suckers caught COVID, forget it. It doesn't have anything to do with a stimulus program. Now, $4 billion for Navy weapons procurement, and another $2 billion for Air Force missiles. Okay, I get it. Right now, because of the way things are, yeah, we probably do need to beef that up and keep it nice and strong. But explain why, and explain why that has to do anything with a stimulus program. It shouldn't. It should be its own separate thing that is out in the open, transparent, saying, this is what we're funding for our military and why. Okay? I have some coffee now. $30 million for Nepal. No explanation. Did the whole country of Nepal catch CV? And how is that our problem? See, it shouldn't have anything to do with the stimulus bill. Again, that's a different issue. And that's $130 million. Think about how far that would go. If I had $130 million, I guarantee you I'd put it in for not-for-profit. I would be able just to take a few million away to make sure that my family and everything was taken care of and all my bills were covered. And we're just talking a few, like 5. And then the rest, I could start a program and use just the interest to change the world. At least my local world in this country. Now, $85.5 million to Cambodia. Why again? What does that have to do with CV-19? Now keep in mind, well, wait, I will get to that. We'll just hold on a second. Okay. $1.4 billion to some Asian program I can't pronounce. Why are we giving $1.4 billion to an Asian program? Aren't they the ones that gave us the CV? I mean, just saying, shouldn't it be the other way around? $135 million to Burma. I am sure that the Burmese people are the nicest people in the world, and I love Burmese pythons. They are sexy snakes, but $135 million. For what? What does that have to do with a stimulus package for CV? $700 million to the Sudan. And let's just throw in 1.3 billion to Egypt. But why? It doesn't even say. It just says that's where it's going. How does that even relate to what the stimulus package is supposed to be for? And why should we be footing the bill? We're not done yet, believe it or not. $435 million to the Ukraine. Now, I know there's been some unrest in Ukraine and we've been trying to help over there and stuff like that, but you know what? Shouldn't it work the other way around? When you help a country, they pay you? Why are we giving $453 million to the Ukraine? Shouldn't they be taking care of their own issues? Their own CV? My guess is none of this has to do with CV. Now, here's a good one. You're going to love this one. And it's the last big one. Now, there's some other little things, and little is relative because any of the little sums I would gladly have and help more people than I believe this money's ever going to help. But $3.3 billion to Israel. Now, I like my Israeli brothers and sisters. Some of the toughest brothers and sisters I know for keeping it clean. But why are we giving $3.3 billion? I'm sure that country's pretty stable on its own. And why are we, again, putting out all this money when this is supposed to be a CV stimulus package for helping our country? Right? Okay. Now, keep in mind, do you know who's paying for all of this eventually? That is, if we're not wearing a red flag with a sickle by then. However, it's us. None of this is free money. None of this is just being given out of the goodness of heart or money that's in some account somewhere. This is being paid back, including that measly $600 you're getting is coming off of your 2020 tax returns. So I guess Israel, the Ukraine. Oh, and I forgot. Wait. Oh, you're going to love this. But I suppose that Ukraine, Israel, Egypt, Sudan, Burma, someplace in Asia, Cambodia, and Nepal all just get money. But we have to pay it back. Just saying. Now, I forgot one, and you're going to love this one. $10 million for a gender program in Pakistan. Heck, if you can't just look down where you're taking a leak and figure out which gender you are, well then, I don't know what to say. And why you need $10 million to help you figure it out, or switch it, or double switch it, or go back and forth. And you could be both for that kind of money. Now, I don't have anything against any of that. But I don't think it's our responsibility as Americans to be even footing one penny for shit like that. I could take $10 million in all seriousness and really change the lives of probably tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people. And isn't that what this money's supposed to be for? Isn't this supposed to be helping people not lose their homes, not lose their businesses in these times that we've been going through? Now, I get it that there are some things that were needed in there that I would actually understand, like pushing back the moratorium on not, basically foreclosing or collecting or filing suits or whatever you call it, getting people out of their rentals and whatnot like that, eviction. I get that. That's needed because those people, we got millions that are already on unemployment right now and signing up for services. We've got millions that eventually, when they have to pay those bills, including the people that own the properties. And these people that own these businesses won't be able to pay. And they're all going to be out there on the streets. And at that point, do you know what's going to happen? I think people are really going to wake up. And they're going to realize that this isn't right. And since they're in the streets anyway, well, they might as well act. And they're going to. If you weren't paying attention to Salem, Oregon, you really should be. Because those are people right now telling you, hey, pay attention. We're not happy. And we're not okay with all of this. Now, this is another really bad thing about this. And I hope you stayed until the end because it's really important. In this bill, and this is one reason, just this right here, heck, even if that wasn't so, just this right here is the reason why it should be vetoed, because they have snuck in, which shouldn't be allowed, by the way. Why are we piggybacking shit into other bills? I mean, come on. Think about what they got done in the last few months. One bill? Hell, I would have fired you years ago for the performance that I've seen out of our representatives, senators, congressmen, legislators, lobbyists, all of that. I'd have fired all of you for your performance. But this one here, to require certifications be made to Congress when the president deploys active duty forces within the United States during a civil unrest by amending the Insurrection Act in Title 10, Chapter 13 of U.S. Code. So what that basically is saying is they have injected a little update that is going to take away our leader right now's ability to act using that Insurrection Act. That's pretty sneaky. And you know why? Because they know that it's getting that close to having to act like that, in my opinion. Now, I hope and pray every day that none of that stuff happens, that there's a peaceful way to do this. But this kind of garbage is got to stop. I mean, $600, you might as well, it just feels like the American people have been bent over, spanked on the fanny, and told this is going to hurt, and no, I am not going to use any lube because you don't deserve it. It really does. And I'm not one who usually says things like that, but, you know, it's quite offensive. Especially quite offensive when you see that a majority of this bill is going to other countries and other programs that have nothing to do, one, with the American citizens or helping them in this time. So let me know what you guys think. Put it down in the comment section. Am I crazy? Am I nuts? Am I blowing this out of proportion? I mean, you tell me. Honestly, I don't know anymore. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to ring that bell. And be sure to support everybody else out there, all of our community members. Be out there being aware, looking to see where you can help, who you can help, and be getting prepared for harder times ahead. And as I always say, be safe, be secure, be aware of your surroundings, and always be getting prepared for what might come in the future. That being said, I promise there'll be some fun videos coming up again. I hope this one was a little funny, but this is a little upsetting. And I want to know how all you guys feel. I mean, I got to believe that no matter which side you're on, you have to look at this and think to yourself, wow, That's crazy. And that's the thing. We need to take the time to read these bills. And if you haven't read the first one, it's even worse. Read the first one and see where money went. It doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't make any sense that it takes them that long to do it. What I see here is a bunch of money going into people's pockets that it shouldn't be. And that's ours. I love all of you guys and I truly care. That's why I did this video. I hope that the powers to be understand that this is just us discussing what is going on, trying to get educated and figure out the truth. If you were honest in the first place, this would never be an issue. Until next time, stay safe.